hey, there's only a couple of these. Georgia's scrimmage is going to be tomorrow at the stadium, presumably at the stadium if weather permits. Ryan, these scrimmages, again, there's only a couple of them each fall. They're really important. We'll have some insider stuff for you about it on Sunday over on Dawg Post. Who really needs to have, I'll throw you an easy one, who really needs to have a good day? And, we're going to hear about Bo Walker, I think. And so I'll just start it off with that. I think we're going to hear about him. We'll see.
I think that the obvious answer on who needs to have a good day is Gunnar Stockton, right?
That's true.
You start there. You want it to be clean, right? You want to see that he's making good decisions. I think it's important that you see he has chemistry with his wide receiver room, right? Kind of a new wide receiver room. Some guys he's been throwing to for years, but players that are expected to be big impact players for Georgia and change the narrative of what it was last season, which was a passing game that really struggled and was a roller coaster and was unreliable. The lame answer is you want to see everyone do well. You can't see everyone do well if it's offense versus defense, right? Can the defense get pressure? I think that's another thing. Are there guys in that front seven? Is Elo Mendozi, the guy they brought in from Army and who's expected to compete for a starting job here over the next couple weeks, is he going to be a real impact player? He got 6.5 sacks in their conference last season. Can he do that in the SEC?
But our understanding is he is running with the ones a fair amount.
Our understanding is that he's running with the ones, and I think, look, that's why they brought him in. They went through the spring. Yeah. They went through the spring cycle. Gabe Harris was injured. Quintavious Johnson and Chris Jones were their starting outside linebackers. They evaluated and they said, this is not good enough. We need to add someone else, and we need to add someone else that can play immediately. That's what they did by bringing in Elo. But I think that pressure from the front, it's a skilled second and third level on their defense. Yeah. It's the front where there are questions. And then on offense, you want to see both phases do well because they struggled in both areas last year. There's 2 scrimmages in the fall?
Typically there are 2.
Different things are going to happen, right? We're going to hear things about one scrimmage and certain things are going to happen, and it's going to be different in the next scrimmage. It's going to be hard to make, I think, a big conclusion for this is what's going to happen during the season, right? Because we only know so much of what's going on in each scrimmage. But
exactly.
Smoothness on the offensive side of the ball, to boil it down simply, and then pressure from the defense.
And make sure you're taking advantage of our offer, 3 months, and the magazine for $15. We're kind of getting on fumes here, so make sure you're jumping on.
Not that many magazines left, guys. We're just
we just
stumping them in the package.
We just packed them all, the rest of them today, so there's just not that many left. But take advantage of that offer. Look, I think the variable, the challenge here, Ryan, with these scrimmages is we don't know what we don't know in terms of how are they structured, what are they, are any of the threes going? Montgomery,
yeah,
is he going? So I don't know. And
he's still got a brace on his knee.
Yeah. And Taylor Taylor, how much? So I don't know. That's the challenge there. I think what you want to do when you're talking to people that you trust is say, how did the offensive line look? Did they get any push at all? No matter the problem with scrimmage stuff, even if you're watching it like G-Day, if someone does really well, that usually means something happened wrong on the other side. Not usually. That often means something happened wrong on the other side, which is more problematic than the person doing well. So I think you want to land the plane. Crashing a plane is the plane landing, but you want to land the plane on all these. And kind of, in talking with some people, and then just listening to others, I think it's true that how well can you get to the finish line? How injured are you going to be at the finish line? Georgia had way too many problems last season with injuries. Whether you're talking about Tate Ratledge, Carson Beck, Etienne, McLeod,
Ernest Green was injured.
It just didn't stop. And so, really good players, you can't miss them. They missed him in 23, and you could tell when Brock Bowers was out. You could tell when Ladd McConkey was out. When they got them back, they never had Ladd and Brock completely healthy at the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Not after
23.
Or no, not at all, because Ladd began the season.
So you need all your men. And they do have some players, man. You and I have been rewatching a lot of 21 and 23. Was it 23?
We were watching a lot of 22.
22. And some of 24. I think we watched the Notre Dame game.
Yep.
They got players, man. I think they're actually a little bit more talented at playmaker this season. We're going to hear about that in these scrimmages. But, like, look, Gunner's got control. They just need to go execute and land the plane consistently.
Yeah, I think, well, it gives you a lot of perspective when you watch what championship level offense looks like when you watch that 2022 team. And the question will be, we hear what we hear about Kobe Young or Zachariah Branch or whoever it is. But the question will be when they actually get on the field and they're playing other opponents, how many of them are going to be impact guys where they just trust to distribute the ball to them? The biggest strength of those offenses is that all of them could win a play. All of them could win it down.
Talking about? Yeah.
Darnell Washington could hurdle you and do his thing. Kenny McIntosh could get a 50-yard reception. And those weren't the two best players on their offense. They were down the totem pole. Yeah. Brock Bowers was on that team. Labaconke, A.D. Mitchell was on that team. The notion is that this team is closer to that. Now, I don't think that they are that.
I agree with that.
But the notion is that they're closer. I think in this scrimmage, how much does the scrimmage cater towards the run game, right? Because you see at G-Day specifically, it's a throwing session for the most part. They've talked about all off-season, they've been emphasizing the run game on both sides of the football. Is that a big emphasis now? Bobo and Kirby are talking about how they want that to be their identity again. They want that to be the essence of the team again. It wasn't last year. It wanes from that a little bit in 2023, not significantly, just slightly.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't know if I think that there's an assumption that Nate Frazier is this bulk ball carrier and is going to have 15, 20 touches a game, and I think there are going to be games where that's the case, but the more that we hear and the more that I see, I think it's going to be a hodgepodge, and you're going to get Cash Jones in there, you're going to get the transfer McCray in there, and Roderick Robinson. That could be a good thing, right? Because when you compare it to when they were really successful on offense and you compare it to other successful offenses, the more reliable weapons that you have while also having like a real go-to guy, that's hard to stop.
I do want to go back to 22 in the Carolina game when Brock Bowers scored that long touchdown. There was a particular set. They brought Deshaun Edwards across in motion from playing. He was a left wide receiver. He came underneath. They forgot about Brock Bowers, and Brock made a great play and hits a 75-yard touchdown. They did the same exact play, literally. It was the same exact play, except this time Kenny McIntosh they flexed. They brought Edwards in motion,
and they had him come out of the backfield.
Hold on, they had instead of Brock Bowers, they had Washington at tight end, and they were scared to death of Washington because of what Brock Bowers had just done, and they completely forgot about
Kenny McIntosh
who goes for 30 yards. I don't think have that level of skill on this offense, but they have more than they had a season ago as it relates to the receivers particularly. And now you do get to mix and match some things. And Mike Bobo will have plenty of criticism and I'll be there to jump on board when we're ready to criticize him. I want to see what he has with some real playmakers because they got way too many guys hurt last season. The depth was not there the way that it is this season. In 22, they had a lot of toys to play with. In 23, they did to some degree, more than in 24. But you had two guys getting hurt at the same time. I mean, they got to stay healthy. I think with this scrimmage, you want to solidify your offensive line. Who's your offensive line? Who are your starters? Who are your swing players who are the guys you can say, hey, all right, you got to go. It's time to play. You're not going to have 11 guys on the offensive line. It's usually about 8. But last year they had to really have 8 and 9. That was the problem.
They did, and look, someone goes down, they'll have to be in that same situation again this season. I think, kind of going back to what you were saying a minute ago, talking about that play and how they ran it to a different player, something that was very noticeable in watching a lot of 2022 the last couple of days is they were very creative, right? Todd Monken was very creative, but he had the ability to do that because of the weapons that he had. will Bobo be able to do that with a group of weapons this season that you think, okay, there's more versatility there? We'll probably see that pretty quickly, right? We'll see that by the up in Knoxville, I think. But we'll know based off the play calling a little bit how much they trust these guys.
So let me just interject this. I was meaning to say this, so I can't write things down while I'm driving. One thing I want to make very clear here at the end of this video is the reason why 22 was so successful was it was easy for them to run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they were running with no problems at all. And like that went backwards a little bit in 23. They ran so easily in 22. I guess Kenny was their best running back.
He was their one.
But then you had Edwards and you had Milton. I mean, like, I don't know who their one is this year. I would imagine it's Frazier, but I do think that it should have been Etienne last year. He was their number one. It just he did not have this season.
He popped for 2 games against the same team, and they
needed him in those games. And I mean, they don't win the SEC championship without him, but it wasn't all the time. And so the days of Robert Edwards are gone. Like, that's not around anymore. Garrison Hurst, where one guy is just some monster, even Musa. So that's just not how it works. But I'm very curious to see all these things. You'll hear about that and more about these scrimmages. We're going to have our best report that we can. It'll be Sunday. I like to talk to more than one person about these things. So give us a little time, and we'll have it for you Sunday. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.